What's up, everybody? Tony Cutillo here. Jigsaw, Cutillo at Cutillo 23. Jigsaw's Johnson today. Talking a little Eagles. I had to wait a little bit. I just couldn't do it right in the morning because I had to get myself together, get my thoughts together like I always do. I don't like to go in hot, right? I like to get all the specifics of what I'm going to talk about and kind of really put this jigsaw puzzle together, no pun intended. Because again, we watched another product yesterday that was inferior up to a point, but then comes full circle and almost gives us a win at the end. A lot of people that I have to ask about where they were at. I have to ask about, where is Fletcher Cox been? Again, he's barely on a stat board. When we talk about this, there's a couple things I want to talk about with Doug Peterson. Not only the vanilla play calling, okay, but certain things that you just can't do, that you are going to get your quarterback injured. Listen, I understand right now that you're trying to be cute with the playbook every now and then, right? You're trying to do things that are kind of, listen, they're going to jumpstart this offense, right? So, you put in Jalen Hurts and you have him run the option, okay, which is great, okay? And I get that 100%. But what I will ask is you have to be very careful. If that's going to involve Carson Wentz as being a blocker and almost getting injured, is it really worth it? And we have to watch, because if you watch that play, okay, it was very, very close to Carson Wentz getting his ankle rolled up on, okay? And that's one of my biggest issues. Number one, you have to be accountable for what you're doing, okay? Number two, you actually have to make sure you can make sense of what you're doing. And this is where Doug has been falling short recently. This is where Doug hasn't been the guy that we expect him to be. Okay, and I understand that there's tons of injuries. I get it, 100%. I get that we're going to throw the statistics out there. But I'll tell you what, Carson Wentz, for my money, not only did he play with heart, but he did everything he could yesterday to win a football game. You can blame anything you want on Carson Wentz, but you can't blame yesterday on Carson Wentz. I'm sorry. Just can't do it. You just can't. Okay. Number one, Damone Brown shouldn't even have a job right now. Okay. Because he looked that inferior up against anybody that was one-on-one with him in the interior of that line. I mean, lucky he didn't Carson Wentz killed. Okay. So that's one thing. Number two, okay, Doug Peterson, do me a favor. I don't know how many people realize this, but, and I have to ask this. This isn't just a premeditated notion of Doug Peterson, but, he comes out in another press conference and says, yeah, I probably should have took a timeout, or I probably should have had a better play. I wasn't ready. Listen, you go through gameplay scenarios every single week in practice, in the film room, in the study room. This is what you do. We hear about it all the time. You have your 2-minute drill. You have your 4-minute drill. You have your 30-second drill. You have your fake punts, right? You have everything that you're supposed to do. So you mean to tell me that nowhere in that gigantic sheet that you carry around all week long, in that gigantic playbook, okay, you're one of these, listen, one of the top play callers in the NFL, people say, and you don't have a good enough play designed for that moment, you're not prepared for that moment, that's a problem, okay? It continues to be a problem, right? Continues to be a problem, all right? And we have to look at what this future is going to hold. We don't know the status as of right now of Miles Sanders. We don't know. And listen, again, yes, injuries are a big part of this. I get it. But every team in the NFL is dealing with injuries. We cannot consistently sit here and continue to say that this is all about injuries, because we can't. It's not fair. Okay? It's not fair. It's not fair to our aptitude, because we know better. We know, yes, it has something to do with it. I completely agree. But what we also have to realize is that there's another degree of why we're losing. I don't care about Jake Elliott. Honestly, listen, Jake Elliott is the least of our problems. For everybody that wants to go on social media and go crazy about, I know you're frustrated. I get it. I understand. But Jake Elliott is not the root cause of this issue. We really need to get down into the deep dungeons of Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles on this team to figure out what is going on. This is more than just Jake Elliott. This is more than just play calling. And yes, Carson looked a lot better yesterday. Did he look great? No, but he looked better. But it's so hard for me, honestly. It's so hard for me to sit here and keep hearing about, I seen progress. We're getting better. I don't understand those statements because this isn't a team that rebuilt, right? This isn't a team that was 0-16. Okay, this is a team that should be competitive. This is a team that's won a Super Bowl 4 years removed. This is a team that's made the playoffs every single year under Doug Peterson's guidance. So why are we making statements about, I've seen some good things? This is a 1-4-1 team, essentially 1-5. This is what it is. And now we have 3 inferior opponents coming up that we should be able to beat. But I have to tell you, anything is possible in this league. Anything. And this is a short week. We're going to go. Luckily, we're home, but still, we got to play the New York Giants. Okay, who listen, the New York Giants don't look great either, but again, they have a familiar face in Jason Garrett over there that understands what we do. Now, yeah, have we really owned Jason Garrett over the years? Absolutely. But he still understands the predictability of this offense. So Doug really needs to change something up here. He really does. Doug needs to do something a little different. Okay. I don't know what it is, but number one, you have to do whatever you can do not to get your quarterback killed. That's first and foremost, okay? Number two, you need to prepare. Have this team prepared to play, man. This is because, listen, they come out, and I get it's Lamar Jackson. I get it's the Baltimore Ravens, but 14 points dropped right off the bat. That hurts. That really, really hurts, okay? You scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. All right, you wait all the way to the fourth quarter to start scoring points. Again, we could sit here and say, were they in a little bit of a prevent? Did they not? But I'll tell you what, that last drive, the last 2 drives, they were playing for real. Okay, they were absolutely playing for real. Calais Campbell gets 3 sacks against us, unacceptable. Okay, Miles Sanders gets the big run, yes. Okay, but unfortunately, he gets injured. But Carson Wentz, 21 of 40. Not great, right? Not great. There's a lot of, listen, I get it. He's thrown to so many different people. I understand. But he also had a lot of passes, especially with Miles Sanders, that should have been caught. We know about that one in the end zone. That's something that should have been caught. Travis Fulgham looks like he can be a legitimate player. I mean, that's a really good find for the Philadelphia Eagles if they can, they can continue to add him into the fold. I don't want to hear about, with Deshaun or Alshon, whoever comes back, and Travis Fulgham takes the back seat. No, you need Travis in there. But the one thing I like Carson doing, he was trusting his receivers. He trusted 2 guys yesterday. He trusted Travis Fulgham and he trusted Richard Rodgers. That's who he trusted. Listen, it is what it is. That's who he trusted. You don't just throw a ball up and do that if you don't trust the guy out there that you're throwing to. And that's what he did. That was something that he did. Again, watching other players flourish in other systems is one of the most infuriating things for me. Okay, that's why I took till 1 o'clock, 1:30 to be able to do this video today. I know I usually go at like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, but I had to wait till late afternoon because I had to get my thoughts together. A lot of stuff going on later. A lot of reports to write. Got the 2 Monday Night Football games coming up, and I just had to fit this in, and just say how frustrated I am. I'm listen. I'm watching the highlights, and the first thing I'm watching is Rasul Douglas again making a game-saving play. I understand they lost, but still, he could have made a game-saving play if they would have been able to score on the offensive side of the ball. You're watching Sidney Jones make plays. You're watching LJ Fort make plays. Okay, listen. Somebody said it. I think it was. I forget exactly who it was. On Twitter. But listen, another guy. I know he got injured last night, but another guy was on the practice squad. Raheem Mostert, another guy who we let go, who flourished in another system. We're consistently seeing this, right? And I want to piggyback that on saying again, and I want to cut this video soon because it was on the last show, on the last Heat Ratio podcast that we had live last week. And I want to pay homage to Mikey Goose because I don't know if he's going to be available tomorrow night to be our 4th guy. But if these guys consistently go other places and flourish in other systems, you know, it's half on the coaches, but maybe half of it, maybe Howie is picking some of the right guys, and I think that's what we have to really look at. I know we're burying them for the DK Metcalf thing. I get it. I do. I understand 100%, and I think there's a lot of things going on internally, in that structure at Novacare, whether it be Doug, Jeff, Howie, whoever, whatever's going on over there. There's definitely something to the dysfunction. But what I will say, Mike, you made a great point by saying if all these guys work out somewhere else, does that actually mean, what does it mean? Does it mean that Howie picked the right guys and we just didn't know how to utilize these guys in this system, which to them fall on to the coaches? Or, did we pick the wrong guys for this system? Right? I mean, what, and that's the thing. I don't understand. I don't understand how to look at this, right? I don't understand how to look at it. And I'm very, very confused, because if I see guys flourish in other systems, I have to start thinking that maybe Howie did pick okay talent, and maybe these coaches could not take this talent and make it useful in this system. I'm not sure. But listen, it's apparent that these guys can play. It's apparent that these guys can definitely hold their own in the NFL, which means they deserved to be drafted, which means even if they didn't fit in this system, Howie did see a little bit of talent, right? He did see a little bit of talent. So, again, I'm not sure. Al checking in. Al, thank you, because I didn't see this. Again, Heat Racer Sports family. Love it, Al. Really, really appreciate it. More great news. Ertz out 3 to 4 weeks. Ooh, that hurts. And no Sanders on Thursday. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, we are hit with the injury bug. Big time. 100%. There's nothing else more we could say about it. And it's something that I don't know if you can recover from. But I think the more serious this issue going on is why even the players that are here right now are not producing. I mentioned Fletcher Cox earlier. Fletcher Cox has been a disappearing act this week, guys. I shouldn't say this week, this season. Fletcher Cox has been he has played the biggest Casper act in the world. I listen again. Here's your guy. Okay, he was 2.5 tackles. That's what he did. 1 for a loss. No sacks again. Nothing out of Fletcher Cox. Brandon Graham, again, 2 sacks. Brandon Graham all over. 5.5 tackles. 2 for a loss. Excellent game. Excellent game by Brandon Graham. But again, when you look at that upfront presence, Malik Jackson, Fletcher Cox, listen, I mean, combined, we're talking between 2 guys, we're talking 4 tackles. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And again, when you play the Baltimore Ravens and the run style offense that they right up the gut, man, right up the gut. I mean, listen, Lamar Jackson went straight up the gut on that whatever was set, 40-yard touchdown right there, whatever it was, right up the gut, right? Trent Edwards, right up the gut for the touchdown. I mean, listen, if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, I mean, you actually held Lamar Jackson to only under 200 yards and 1 touchdown, which isn't that bad. Okay. Isn't that bad? Except, the problem is he rushed for 108 yards, right? But if you look at the actual run game itself, right? If you look at the run game itself, you're only talking about 74 yards. All right. That's all they got. They got 74 yards, average 2.8 yards per carry. That is not good. That's not good for the Ravens. That's good for the Eagles, right? So they did something right. Listen, my whole thing is I don't know where to take this year. I don't want to sit there and say, man, listen, I'm done. Screw Carson. Screw that. Listen, again, yes, in the beginning of the year, I said it's time to put Carson aside for a little bit, right? I did say that. And I had no problem saying that. If, number one, you think he's going to get killed, and number 2, he's not helping the team. That's all I said. I think this team, you've seen it. Again, I know nobody wants to accept it, man. I know they don't want to accept it, but when Jalen Hurts comes in the game, and I get it, he's only coming in to run the ball, do an option, do a sweep, whatever he's there to do, throw a little 5-yard out, 6-yard seam route. I get it, but it's a different kind of excitement. Different kind of excitement, right? It just is. And, maybe, listen, Tony Dungy, I completely respect. Listen, they sat there. Again, we played the video last week when Brian Westbrook, Philadelphia Eagle, great running back, said Carson Wentz does not know how to read a defense. He specifically said Carson Wentz does not know how to read a defense. I can't say he does or he doesn't, because I'm telling you right now, I don't know how to read a defense, right? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and admit that I do something that I don't know how to do. But one thing I will say is when they broke down that play, going for 2 to essentially tie the game up and hopefully send it into overtime. Okay, they said right there that Carson Wentz should have audibled off, should have called a timeout, should have done something, because he should have been able to see that they already knew the play. But again, he couldn't read the defense. Listen, we can say whatever we want about Carson. He has tremendous heart. I said it, tremendous heart. His heart is bigger than I've ever seen. It's exceptional. And it's something that you connect with. It's something that you can respect. But the problem is we can't win based on heart. And I'm not saying this loss is on Carson. I'm just talking in general. You can't win based on heart. If another guy comes in and he gives you more options and he gives you more ability, then you have to play this guy. Now, I will say one thing. A lot of, this works both ways. You see a lot of people say, well, Carson doesn't have any talent there. I see a lot of Carson Goff comments last night. Absolutely 100% Carson better than Goff, right? Look at Goff has to throw to when you talk about Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, right? We talk about that. It's a good 1-2 punch, right? We understand that. He has Sean McVay, McDreamy, I call him, because he is the young superstar coach in the National Football League. Think what you want about him when you're hired at 30 years old to be a head coach in National Football League. God damn it, you're smart. And God damn, you know how to call an offensive game plan. You would say whatever the hell you want about that guy, but that guy was 30 years old, getting a head coaching job, which means he knows what the hell he's doing. So we can say whatever we want, okay? But when we talk about Jared Goff, right, when we talk about Jared Goff and you compare him to Carson Wentz, if the roles were reversed, I'm not sure what would happen. I'm not. But all I know is I think, my own opinion, Carson Wentz needs receivers to make him better. Whereas Donovan McNabb, we talked about this before, was able to make receivers better. So my point being that if you have a bunch of weak receivers on the team that can't get separation and they can't get open, then maybe you need a guy like a Jalen Hurts to get in there and kind of mix things up a little bit, to give the other side of the field, meaning the defensive front, something to think about, which gives these guys an extra advantage when they're not being able to do it on their own. I'm just saying, it's just a thought. I don't know if that's the answer. I have no idea. But here's the thing. I don't want to go into these next 3 games and win 3 games, and all of a sudden, right, all of a sudden, we're 4-5-1, and everybody's going, oh, look at the NFC East. It's wide open, and it's still not fixing our problem. It's still not fixing our problem. Okay, we seen this last year. Here's the problem. Last year, Carson Wentz was phenomenal down the stretch, right? Phenomenal. He was able to do things that we didn't think were even possible with all the injuries they had. He was able to lead them, right? 100%. Okay, but at the end of the day, we still came into this year with the same exact issues, and that's my problem. Adam is saying 1 to 2 weeks on Sanders. That's very encouraging. If it's 1 to 2 weeks on Sanders, very, because I didn't like that. You never tackle a guy from behind. You're just asking for trouble. Just asking for trouble. Horse collar or not, just asking for trouble. Jim, check it in. What's up, Jim? How you doing, buddy? Maybe Howie should have drafted. I'll tell you what, man. Justin Jefferson was the guy. He was the guy. Listen, if you weren't going to move up to get Rager, weren't going to move up to get Lamb, Justin Jefferson was the guy sitting right there, staring you in the face, and that will forever go down again. Somebody tweeted out, right? Think about this. Think about that. You could have had your big three. We could have had Miles Sanders, DK Metcalf, and Justin Jefferson on this team. Think about that for a moment. Think about that. Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, and Miles Sanders. Wow. I'll tell you what, man. That would be one hell of an offense. I have heard he can't read defense and stuff a couple times, but how can you explain his you know what, Al? I don't know. I listen, I'm going to be the first to tell you. I don't know. I don't know how you explain it. Listen, just because he can't read a defense doesn't make him a bad quarterback. It just makes him very susceptible to mistakes. Right. And I think that's the biggest issue. Yes, he has scored 100 touchdowns in his career, which means he can throw the ball. Right. He can move. He can hit guys in stride when he wants to, and he can hit guys in the numbers. But at the end of the day, if you can't read a defense, it makes your offense work that much harder. All right. And just maybe those offensive plays that are called are actually working, but Carson isn't getting rid of the ball and Carson isn't making the right read. I'm not sure. All I know is when you have guys like Brian Westbrook, who obviously know film way better than I do, sit there and talk about it, when they basically break down the footage last night of that play that kind of enhances what Brian Westbrook was saying 2 weeks ago, it kind of makes you think a little bit. And I don't know, but my thing is, Al, that's something he can work on, even if it's right? If he can't read defenses, that's got to be something he can work on. That's got to be film study, right? And that's my issue. If he can, and Al, answer me this, right? Think about this part. If he can't read defenses, right? If he can't, say that is a problem, then how is a coaching staff not understood that? How? And that's the thing. As a coaching staff, if you think that he can't read a defense, why are you not helping him read a defense? Right? That's my issue. That's something that can be learned. That's not football IQ all the time. That's something that can be learned. That's something that can be learned on game film, on game tape, right? All of us do it. All of us look, and we learn as well. So that's something that can be learned. So I'm not worried about that, but I do think there's some kind of credence to it. Andre, what's up, buddy? Yeah, almost pulled a thing out. Yeah, we did. Crazy as it sounds, but yes, we almost pulled that thing out. But J-Chaw, more recovered fumbles and touchdowns at DK. Isn't that unbelievable? J-Chaw gets a recovered touchdown in the end zone and a 2-point conversion, right? I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but I'm just watching, and this is no knock. I hate to say it, but if I just watch J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, he doesn't even look like a wide receiver to me. He just, he runs awkwardly, right? None of that. It just doesn't look right. The coaches should be in his ear like McVay is with Goff. Jim, I agree 100%. 100%. And this is what I don't get. This is why I still blame some of the coaching. Listen, I blame Carson a little bit. I do. But I think that the coaching is 100% the issue on this team. Say what you want. It's 100% the issue. It has to be. It has to be. There's no other way around it. Right? There's no other way around it. If that is his knock, if Carson Wentz can't read a defense, it's got to fall down to the coaches to be able to help him develop as that reader. You have to be able to do that. You should have known that from day one, thinking about drafting him. That's another good point, right? They did a lot of homework. You're giving up a lot of draft capital in order to get your guy, right? You're giving up, and there was some silent skeptics out there. And I don't know if it was a lot of he can't read a defense, but there was a lot of skeptics out there that maybe he's really not the guy everybody thinks he is, before we drafted him. So there was a lot of whispers. So I'm not sure. I'm really not. I'm not sure. But one thing is for damn sure. He is our guy no matter what. And, he's here. He's not getting benched. He's not, they're not they may add Jalen Hurts into the mix a little more, which I encourage. Listen, if I'm fine with that. That's one thing. I'm not advocating for Carson Wentz to go on a bench, but what I am saying is I want more Hurts. I want more Jalen Hurts. I said it 100%. I want more Jalen Hurts in this game. That's what I want. I want more Hurts. I think he gives stuff as that defense to think about. I think he keeps them on their toes, and I think it gives Doug another element to this offense that desperately needs some excitement. Andre, did you get my you know what? I didn't look at that, Andre. I'm sorry. Are we really going to ignore Jake Elliott 2 weeks in a row, bro? Critical. Listen, I opened up about Jake Elliott. I honestly, he's the least of my worries right now. But you are right. You are right. You have a kicker. You paid listen, you paid big money for this guy in 2 weeks in a row. And again, another guy that's taken a step back on this team, right? Another guy. And he's not alone, man. He's just highlighted because we need his leg. If we didn't need his leg, he wouldn't be highlighted. Nobody would be talking about it. Okay, another guy on this team not playing up the capabilities. That's a problem. Andre, I'm more concerned with giving out 30. Absolutely. If we can't right now, you can't. But and again, I know it's a prolific offense, right? I get it. I know you're facing Lamar Jackson. I know it's difficult. But Lamar, they actually listen. The biggest thing, again, guys, as well as I do. This game came down to two things again. It came to us having the inability to cause a pass rush and not being able to clog the middle up from the linebacker position when they get through the first four. And that's what hurt us this entire game. Listen, 186 yards. That's all Lamar Jackson threw for. That wasn't bad, man. That wasn't bad. That's not a problem. Wentz was an MVP with other coaches. He's middle of the pack with Doug. Exactly. Jim, 100%. Again, coming down to coaches, right? Coming down to coaching. Again, I don't know what it is, but something's not right and it's not working. And Carson has been been impacted most out of anyone on this team when we talk about that. My buddy Jim checking in. Draft making parts, so we need a linebacker. Already looking at draft. Jim's already foregoing the season. He's already saying, screw it. Let's just look at the draft and see what we're going to do in the draft. Maybe we get a high pick. Jim, I'll tell you what. If Howie's picking, though, I don't know. I don't think I'm too comfortable with any of that. All I know is I want him fully loaded with all weapons he can get, and then we will truly know what I think I already know. He is a beast. Al, he is. Listen, he is a beast. He 100%. And again, it goes back to the statement I said. I kind of agree with you. Again, Carson, whether he's better or worse than Donovan McNabb. Okay, and I keep saying that because it proves the point that I'm trying to make. If we get weapons in here for Carson Wentz, and if he needs weapons in order to be great, who cares? All right, I have no problem with that. Listen, I'm just willing to admit that Carson Wentz doesn't have the ability to make players better. They need to make Carson better, right? Travis Fulgham going up and getting separation makes Carson Wentz better. Richard Rodgers stopping on a dime, going up and getting a ball makes Carson Wentz better. Miles Sanders holding on to a ball would make Carson Wentz better. Okay, but when you don't have guys that can consistently get open, right? When you don't have guys that can consistently catch the ball, Carson's not that guy to help them throw it and make them better. Donovan was. He was able to do a lot more with less. Carson needs more. So Al, 100%, I agree. Get on the weapons. I'm not saying I want to get rid of him, but until he gets those weapons, Al, I need more Hurts. Andres, a Super Bowl star, a 63-yarder against the Giants. He entered the spot, light on that kick. Glorify. Right. I get it. Listen, he had a strong leg. He was accurate. He was spot on. Kickers go through some things here and there. And again, listen, I can't say this enough. And Andre, this, okay, and from all your years around sports, that unfortunately, when you're losing and the environment is not great, it affects everyone. And that even means the kicker. That means the long snapper. That means the punter. Everybody's off their game a little bit, right? If you have a big issue within that locker room, And not as a cultural conflict. I don't mean that. Not as a personal conflict. What I'm talking about, just as a sport, for the game of football, if you have an athletic conflict, which means that you're not playing well as a team and things aren't going right and there's some issues with the coaching staff, it affects everyone. And listen, I'm fully aware that it probably affects Jake Elliott as well. I think if this team is winning, okay, and this team doesn't have the issues and all the negativity surrounding them right now, Jake Elliott makes that kick. I'm telling you that right now. I 100% believe that. Ertz is mentally checked out, and like clockwork, injury happens. The game starts in your head. One great comment, probably comment of the day, 100%. We talked about Zach Ertz quitting. He's done. He has checked out. And then again, what happens? You don't make the right cuts. You don't have this and that. And boom, lo and behold, this is what happens. Name one very good quarterback that doesn't have at least one great wide receiver. You're right. You're right. And even when you have got, I mean, listen, the ultimate is what Arizona did for Kyler Murray, right? That is the ultimate, because what they did was they went out and gave Kyler Murray the best receiver in football, right? Ben Roethlisberger for years had tremendous weapons in Pittsburgh, and that's because they know how to draft wide receivers, right? I mean, he's been afforded the ability to work with guys like Santonio Holmes, Antonio Brown, Antoine Randall Well, Hines Ward, Plaxico Barris. I mean, look at the number one receivers he had for so many years in Pittsburgh. So, Al, you're spot on. Absolutely right. I completely agree. But all I'm saying is, back in the day, Donovan didn't have that great guy. And somehow, some way, with guys like James Thrash and Todd Pinkston, he 100% could have done better. It's just my opinion. Also, though, I said last week we should have at least 5. Yes, I 100%. You're right. I agree. I'm 100% with you, man. 100%. Get them in the game. And this doesn't mean running the ball. Have them throw the ball too. Give them some wide receiver screens, give them some run options, right? Give them RPOs, give them some 5-yard flats, give them some slants, whatever. You have to listen. This offense is so vanilla right now. You have to open it up. You have to open it up. And that goes to Andres, right? I agree. Been there. We need the energy. Exactly. And that is the energy. That is the energy we need. Jim says you miss 100% of the field goals you don't take. Doug needs to take every point he can take, especially in the first half. We have no idea how the rest of the scoring will play out in the second half. I kind of agree with that. As much as, I know it's a big conversation about going for 2, getting the points. You got to take the points, man. Or, I mean, going for it on fourth down. You got to take the points. You have to. When your offense is struggling, right? When your offense is struggling, you have to give them every opportunity to get on the board. Okay, because when you want to point to a scoreboard, you don't want to see a goose egg. You at least want to see 3 points, whether it be 3, 6, 9, 12. It doesn't matter. You want to see points. Then at least you can base your argument to your players on the fact that you've actually put points on the board. And get your excitement another way. Get your energy another way. Just like Al said, just like Andre said, get Hurts in the game a little bit. Open it up. Get that energy another way. That's how you get it. Not by going for it all the time. When this team is struggling to score, you need points. Tom had Randy. He still didn't win it that year. Only big exception. Yeah, listen, Tom had some tremendous wide receivers. Tremendous. He really did. But again, he made a lot of wide receivers as well. So let's not forget about that. Hurts changed things. The opposing defense is playing for it. Catch defense off guard. Can change. Exactly. Just like I said, Andre, just before you checked in, I said the same thing. He keeps them on their toes, man. This is what it's all about. And this is why, listen, and again, if Doug's worried about hurting the psyche of Carson Wentz, then Doug needs to go. Okay? Because right now you need to coach to win football games. Okay? And you can't worry about that. And if Carson Wentz is that much of a mental midget, then we have a big issue. Big issue. So let's hope that's not the case. But one thing is for sure, you got to get Jalen Hurts more time. You have to. 100%. We have to advocate for more of Jalen Hurts. Come on, they broke every record there was, but just lost that last game. You're talking about the Patriots with Randy. Yeah, that only exception, man. I'll tell you what. That team was electric right there, man. That team was 100% electric. Unbelievable. But think about some of the receivers that Tom Brady made. Listen, Deion Branch. I mean, is he like the ultimate? I mentioned this on a Heat Ray show before. I mean, you're talking about the thing of guys like Jabbar Gaffney that he made, right? Dante Stallworth. Even though Stallworth has some good time in New Orleans with Aaron Brooks, still at the end of the day, he came to New England and he was a household name, right? Ben Watson was a household tight end in New England because of Tom Brady, right? Think about it. Think about the people that got paid because of Tom Brady. Wes Welker was a household because of Tom Brady. Julian Edelman because of Tom Brady. I'm telling you right now, you take Julian Edelman off that team and put him somewhere else, he doesn't come close to the numbers that he put up with Tom Brady. So again, yes, Tom Brady has some good receivers, but he's also made some great ones as well, right? He's also made some great ones as well. So at the end of the day, I think we've all been in agreement that this season is, I don't want to say it's lost, okay, but it's very, very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. It's just something that, I can't keep, listen, I can't keep talking about. It's just, it's brutal. You turn on a game and you feel like this is going to be the week. We're going to see something different. And we just seen the same thing. And unfortunately, it's been boring. The product has been boring. Again, until the fourth quarter, it was really hard to get excited about this Philadelphia Eagles game. I mean, you're playing at home in front of a crowd finally, even if it's only 7,500 people or 6,000 people, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I'll tell you what, don't sleep on this team in New York. Say what you want, but Danny can throw the ball. Okay. And he's got some really good receivers out there. They got a good tight end. Okay. And Devonta Freeman's just starting to get healthy, man. Just starting to get his legs about him. So he can run the ball as well. So the Eagles, I'll tell you what, the Eagles can't take this lightly, but I think I'm with Al. 5 to 8 plays. I would go like 8 to 10. Give me 8 to 10 of Jalen Hurts. Put him in there. Let's see what we could do. I mean, that's what's got to happen, I think, just to give us something, right? Give us something. I really fully believe that. I hate to say it, but the Eagles will win the division, get in the playoffs, all for the sake of TV ratings. Yeah, I say, yeah, well, TV ratings, I get it. Do I think they'll win the division? They could. Unfortunately. And I'll say the crazy part is Cowboys lose and we find a way to win Thursday. That's what is crazy. That's what is crazy. And I think the Cowboys are going to lose tonight. I do. I think they're going to lose. I just think Arizona's a better team. I would have picked Arizona with Dak or without Dak. Doesn't matter. For fantasy purposes, look for Andy Dalton and Michael Gallup to have big games tonight. But for the downside of the ball, I can tell you that right now. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If we are in first place, how do you even feel about it? Like, there's more to this team than the record, right? And that's the thing. It's false hope. That's the only thing. Like, everybody's so aware. It's kind of false hope, which is something that we've had for many, many, many years. 100%. Giants interior O-line suspect. If Fletcher doesn't have a good game, he's on a play. Andre, he's been on a blame game for the last month. Where has Fletcher Cox been? Fletcher Cox has not shown up, man. That's a big problem. We need to find out what's going on with Fletcher Cox because he has not shown up. Not shown up at all. We're still waiting to find out where he's been hiding because this offensive line, especially when you have no pass rushers, Brandon Graham is playing well, but besides that, we have zilch, nothing. You need an interior rush, and that's going to be that's going to be Fletcher Cox. So Fletcher Cox has to show up 100%. He's going to have to show up against the Giants as well. But anyway, all right, fellas, I am going to get out of here. I want to go about 30, went 38, going on 40. Sorry for the lateness today. Try to get back a little earlier tomorrow. Talk about some baseball tomorrow. Talking about the Phillies pitching coach retiring and thinking about, seeing some rumors about the Philadelphia 76ers. So let's talk a little Sixers tomorrow on Jigsaw's Judgment. So Al, Andre, if you can make it, as always, join in. I love your basketball knowledge and your insight. It is always key to these segments, which are perfect. But anyway, everybody else, enjoy your 2 football games tonight. If you're watching, again, check me out on the Gambler for my Diamond in the Rough pick today at Fox PHL Gambler at about 3:50-ish. You'll hear my segment, my fantasy segment. And again, as always, at Heat Ratio Sports, give us a follow on Twitter. Check out the podcast. We go live tomorrow night, 9 o'clock live heat ratio. So maybe even 8:30. Might try to go early up. Y'all be at the training camp tomorrow. Excellent. Look, Andre, excellent. Excellent. So we're going to talk a little stuff tomorrow to make Andre check in on Wednesday and can give us, what he's seeing in training camp. Give us a training camp report for Heat Ratio Sports, which I love. That's Andre. Awesome. Give us we'll wait for Wednesday. Well, tomorrow I'm going to talk a little baseball tomorrow, but we'll talk Sixers. We'll talk Sixers on Wednesday. So Al, if you can make it, Andre can make it. It'll be sometime in the morning. We'll still get together. We're still going to get together and do that podcast. We will do a live Sixer show. I'm looking at next week, if not the following week. Within the next 2 weeks, let's get a Sixer show together between the three of us. I think that'll be fun. You guys got a lot of insight. We could talk about future moves and Andre will be a training camp, so he can at least give us some insight on that as well. So a lot of good things for Heat Ratio Sports. Al says he's ready. Absolutely. Ready. We'll do something fun. Me, Al, Andre, we'll do something fun. We'll do a preview episode for the Sixers. Get, kind of like a Sixers round table talk, and I'll see if we can get a little trivia going. Do a fun segment or two as well. We'll get that up in a week or two. Be in touch, guys. Everybody else, stay safe, stay healthy, and catch you tomorrow.